the Han Dynasty 2,000 years ago. From its founding, the Qing Empire advocated the principle of respecting Confucius and reading the Confucian classics. The Qing emperors made a special effort to convince the scholars and common people of the Han ethnic majority that the new regime was of the same political lineage as the Han Dynasty, and that the Qing Dynasty was a worshipper and inheritor of Confucian culture. It was sincerely doing its best to integrate itself with the profound and all-embracing culture of the Chinese nation.
"就是用儒家思想作为他的这个统治思想。这里头呢，首先他对这个儒家的这种传统的这种说教，包括这个仁义礼智信这些这种伦理纲常，包括君臣关系等等等等，以至于就是统治百姓的这些思想，从关外开始，已经是用儒家思想来统治了。
The principle of respecting Confucius and reading Confucian classics laid a foundation for unifying ideology in China, while the emphasis on education and promotion of civil administration stimulated the attainment of a common national culture. The Qing imperial court took a hands-on approach toward both the building of water conservancy projects and cultural undertakings. In the year 1689, the imperial court set up a printing house at Tianning Temple in Yangzhou and gathered scholars living in areas south of the Yangtze River to re-edit and print the complete collection of Tang poems. This great work included all the best poems written 700 years before by more than 2,500 poets of the Tang dynasty. This cultural project won the hearts of those scholars of the Han ethnic majority who had mourned the loss of the Ming dynasty and who cherished a deep love of Tang poetry, and they began to accept the new regime, which had been founded by a minority people from central China. The court official in charge of the compilation of the complete collection of Tang poems was Cao Yin. Years later, his grandson Cao Xueqin was to write the immortal classic, A Dream of Red Mansions. The novel A Dream of Red Mansions was written in the middle of the 18th century. Acclaimed as the most successful novel of Chinese classical literature, it is a work of great spiritual significance, profound ideology, and aesthetic imagery. A Dream of Red Mansions is a cultural work that cannot be compared with any work from any previous era. It is now an everlasting part of the history and culture of the Chinese nation, an indispensable masterpiece in developing the cultural psychology of the Chinese people, and, without doubt, a major contribution by China to the literature of mankind. History has done nothing but increase the value and significance of this great work. "27 years after the compilation, the complete collection of Tang poems was finished, the Qing imperial court spent 7 years on the Kangxi."
所以你比如说政权建设上的这个制度上啊，包括思想文化上，一入关首先是开科取士，是吧？然后呢，这个到康熙时候还有这个颁布了一些这个儒家的经典。所有天下士子都要学习儒家经典。
By embracing Han culture, the Qing Dynasty was able to consolidate its power steadily and make rapid progress in the economy and culture. The system of the imperial examination was restored to encourage people to join the civil service.
On a day in early spring 10 years before the publication of the complete collection of Tang poems, the imperial court held a special examination in the palace. The subjects included poetry and prose writing and various topics covering civil administration. The titles of the essays covering civil administration were People in the Entire Nation Are One Family and On the Understanding of Farming, topics taken from the Confucian classics. The topic, people in the whole country are one family, implied a fusion of different ethnic groups within a single country, while the topic, understanding farming, strongly implied that scholars should know about agricultural production and help the government find ways to advance the national economy. This policy of placing stress on farming so that people could have ample food and clothing laid the material foundation for the unity of the country and the harmonious coexistence of different ethnic groups, thus bringing about social stability. But the progress in agriculture stressed by the new regime was not only dependent on the answers given by scholars in examination papers. Practical measures were taken to lure farmers who had left their native villages during the war back home by giving them land. During the reign of Emperor Kangxi, the imperial court promulgated various preferential policies to encourage farmers to work harder and produce more, and they were certainly effective. In the 130-plus years from 1662 to 1796, the arable land in China increased from 34 million hectares to 60 million hectares. This was equivalent to half of the arable land in China in the 21st century. Water conservancy projects were built to benefit agriculture and enrich the people. The government was well aware that good harvests and a well-off population were the foundation of the prosperity of the country. The three great dynasties, Qin, Han and Tang, all became powerful thanks to the attention given by the imperial court to flood control and agricultural production. The rulers of these three dynasties worked out ways and means to curb the rivers whenever they rose and dug irrigation canals in places where the supply of water was inadequate. The outstanding water conservancy project known as the Dujiang Weirs was built more than 2,000 years ago during the Qing Dynasty, and the Grand Canal was built several hundred years later during the Sui and Tang dynasties. Both massive projects testify to the great spirit of innovation of the Chinese nation and to the fact that a powerful regime could concentrate its enormous power to achieve major results. The people who carried out these projects were inheritors of the cause of Yu the Great, the man of legend who curbed the great floods. The emerging Qing Empire carried on the heroic tradition of curbing the floods and was determined to make rapid progress. By the time China was under the rule of the Qing Dynasty, the approach to water conservancy projects had become more scientific. There were, for example, new scientific instruments for determining the speed, volume and level of water. There was a thirst for new scientific knowledge and technology. And this was not just a desire felt by individuals. The Qing government knew it was essential for building up the country. Toward the end of the 17th century, a mathematics studio was established in Changchun Garden in the old Summer Palace. It was the National Research Center for Mathematics in the China of its time. The Qing imperial court went to great efforts to promote the study of mathematics, and a number of fine mathematicians emerged as a result. Some of them compiled major works such as The Essence of Mathematical Principles. In its quest to promote the use of mathematics, the Mathematics Studio bought books on advanced mathematics from abroad and even engaged Western teachers. This encyclopedia of mathematics covered the field at the highest level of the age. It contains all the main achievements in mathematics that had been introduced to China, as well as China's own classical works on the subject. This work reveals an enthusiasm to take on new knowledge and a willingness of the Chinese of the era to assimilate advances made by other nations in science and culture.
所以在整个清代的话，康熙是非常重要的人物，因为他是想通过学习西学来达到管理国家的一个目的。他就希望组织一批人来学习科学，然后呢，他说我们学会了以后呢，他就希望以后我们不再依赖这个外国人。所以对康熙来说，他是有一个非常强的这个独立的这个自主的一个这么一个心态。
At the beginning of the 18th century, the Qing imperial court dispatched land survey teams equipped with the most advanced instruments of the time all over the nation. even to its deserts. By the time they completed their work, the surveyors had an accurate map of Chinese territory.
这个事情呢，在整个科学史上都是一个非常大的事情。经过10几年的观测，在康熙末年的时候呢，就是完成了这个黄鱼前览图的这个绘制。所以法国在18世纪30年代出版的地图呢，后来一直流行了大概100多年，将近200年的这种时间，一直在欧洲是一个非常权威的中国地图。所以这些成果呢，都是在康熙年间在中国这个大地上完成的。
Every Chinese knows that the Yellow River is long, but any river, no matter how long, has its source. Locating the source of the Yellow River was of great social significance to ensure that there would no longer be mystery surrounding the river, and so that the belief of the people that the river could be brought under control would be greatly strengthened. During this era filled with enterprising spirit, Chinese people harbored a strong passion for finding the source of the mother river of the nation.
In the early years of the Qing Dynasty, the imperial court took steps to stabilize society and develop science and culture. The adoption of Confucian beliefs made it possible for the nation's various ethnic groups to reach a consensus on what constituted a national culture. In our next episode, we'll focus on what the Qing Dynasty did to promote science, ethnic harmony, and farming. Please tune in then. Thank you for staying with us on today's New Frontiers. I'm Ji Xiaojun from CCTV International. Goodbye.